It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell, and Chuck and Chucky are here. That, of course, is Uncle Chuck. Hello, Charles Purcell. And Chucky Bucky. Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's, well, we'll just see what we have time for today. I'm not sure where we're going. What do you think, guys? Oh, well, of course the virus, we got to talk about that, right? Right, and, it hasn't stopped the elections from going on. At least not yet. I guess they stopped them in which state canceled them? Which state did cancel? Ohio. Oh, yeah, Ohio canceled. Right, so that's a big prize out there still to be had. So I guess life goes on. By the way, it's a birthday day today. Happy birthday, Charles Purcell. Oh, my goodness, that's right. It's your birthday. Good. Oh, mercy. Well, sure it is. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Charles Purcell. Happy birthday to you. Come on, you guys. All right. Well, I appreciate it, but seriously, I didn't want to. I didn't want to talk about that. Yeah, it's my birthday. Okay. Thank you very much. It's very nice. Happy birthday. How old of a fella are you? I'm sorry. How old? Yeah. How many candles do we put on the cake this year, there, Charles Purcell? I don't. It's not that I'm vain, although I'm as vain as the next guy. But I don't really talk about that. I don't like to say the number. I don't like to say my age on the show. Well, why in heaven's name not? I just like to keep that mystery. If some people picture me a certain way, think I'm younger than I am, other people may picture me another way, think I'm older than I am. I'd rather just leave that in the listener's mind. Oh, okay. That's fair enough. That's all right. Well, happy birthday nonetheless, and all best wishes to you, and many happy returns. Thank you. Okay, guys, let's see what we got here going on today. I'm going to start with this. Occasionally, I will Google The Log, the name of this program. Yeah, The Log. Okay. Yeah, I'll search it just to see what comes up, and it's usually not us. There's The Log magazine, and there's a couple of other things that come up, but I came across something pretty interesting. The headline here is, "The variety of animals that crossed this log in a year is just incredible." Okay, let's read a little bit of this. For the last few years, Robert Bush Sr. has set up a remote camera by The Log, located over a creek in the mountains of Pennsylvania. An incredible range of animals cross this log each year, and it's fascinating to just appreciate nature in all its diversity. So it's just a guy, I guess. It's not science or research, but here's this video. Let's see here. Yeah, The Log. That's the name of the thing, and now it's The Log 2. And it's just a compilation of shots of this log. Now there's a bear crossing. There's some sort of a stork, long-legged bird of some kind. And it's nighttime. There's an opossum, it looks like, a little bird, a bigger bird. Here's a fox. Oh, look at this. It's like a bobcat. So all these different animals crossing the log. So anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get off. It's true. It is pretty. You watch and you can't stop. It's kind of beautiful. It's just a camera. It's locked into one shot. It's just always running. Maybe it's, I'll bet it's movement activated or something. Oh, the bear almost fell in as he was walking across there. Kind of stumbled a little bit. But yes, it is really kind of addictive. So I'm going to force myself to turn it off right there. Okay, I turned it off. The reason I brought it up is if you search The Log, you're going to find that before you find us. Well, that's kind of disheartening. You got to do some promotion there, Charles Purcell. Yeah, right. Got to get it out there. Well, that makes me think of something I wanted to tell listeners for a long time, and maybe I mentioned it occasionally. I don't remember. There's really only one podcast, and the podcast is Charles Purcell Presents. I mean, that is the umbrella term that everything else falls under. So whether it's the Log or Stream of Consciousness Talk Radio Theater or the Conversations series or whatever we've done. So if you're ever searching for the podcast, you want to search the name, not the title. Okay, search Charles Purcell. And now, boom, boom, boom. Well, that'll pop up everywhere, and you'll find the podcast, and you'll find all the different platforms. So, yeah, don't search the Log to find us. But search it if you want to see that fascinating video. It's pretty good. Well, all right. A public service there, and a very big of you to promote someone else's thing there. That's fine. All right. Hey, you know what? Before we get into the meat of things, I want to share something. Here's the headline I want to share with you. If you could power your entire home with 60 minutes of cycling, would you do it? Of course I would, and this really got to me too, because we're here. Let me read a little bit. Imagine if your morning workout could power your home for the entire day, all the way until your next morning workout. Well, you may not have to imagine, as this technology exists now. Manoj Bhargava has invented a new exercise bike that can power some homes for 24 hours after use for only 60 minutes per day. So that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I thought that kind of thing, is this news? I thought this sort of thing already existed. Well, geez, I know, and that's why it kind of caught my eye, because I remember when I was just a kid, down there in St. Joseph's School, you know, I don't know, how old are you when you first learn about the basics of like tools, right? Like leverage, the lever, and, you know, gears, how one gear can make a bigger gear go. And, you know, you start learning about the basics of that, right? How old are you? I don't know. That's grade school or middle school. You'll start learning those things, basic physics of sure. Yeah. Of Archimedes and that kind of thing. Anyway, so Chucky Bucky, you were saying? Well, I guess what I was seeing is, as soon as I was that, you know, just a kid still and learning about that, I thought, well, geez, one guy riding on a bike, just pedaling, could do all sorts of things to create power. And how come we're not doing more of that? And I guess I thought this was many, many years ago. I'm not going to say my age either, Charles Purcell, but that was many, many years ago. I thought, well, geez. So finally, in all these many years later, 2020, gosh almighty. Okay, so if you want to read about this, it's I got it from the the website is called educateinspirechange.org. All one word, educateinspirechange.org. If you could power your entire home with 60 minutes of cycling, would you do it? I guess the technology, we've got it. Well, you know, I see your point there, Chucky Bucky. That seems like we had the ideas of what the future ought to look like many, many years ago, and to a certain extent, it's come true. But to other areas, it's very disappointing that we're not the kind of things, especially when it comes to saving energy and having clean energy and things like that. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. So let's see if the three of us can be of any service to the listening public today. Okay. I mean, I think we already have with your wonderful story, Chucky Bucky. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, in case you're worried about us, we are social distancing. We've set up the studio in such a way that I'm here at the mixing board, and I've got Uncle Chuck over on the one corner of the room, and he's on his mic. Right? That's right. And then Chucky Bucky, you're over in the other corner. Well, sure I am. You put me here by the stairs. I'm afraid I'm going to fall down them. And by this, I don't know what this is here. You got a bunch of extra mic stands or something. You know, you guys got the glamour spots. Right. I got the point is, the storage corner. The point is, we're social distancing. We're not touching each other. We're not even bumping elbows. We're just staying clear of each other. We're not taking any chances. We all washed our hands. I've got hand sanitizer all over the place. So we're taking this very seriously. And what was I saying? Oh, okay. Well, coronavirus is one of the things we want to talk about. Also want to talk about the primaries because we are at a moment here in time. This particular episode of the log is going to have a very short shelf life. The things we talk about are going to be old and outdated, possibly by the time you hear this, and certainly by next week. So for all the affiliates out there, don't save this as a show you can repeat down the line. No, play it once and toss it. This is going to be dated stuff. So those are the things we want to talk about. All right, but I want to start with this, and I want to get through it quickly because it's too annoying to talk about. All right, guys, weigh in on this. Tell me what you think. Okay, the Agent Orange, the current occupant of the White House, I mean, he's not a real president. He just plays one on TV, and we are so overdue. It's so time for all of us to admit that and to say it out loud. Oh, sure, I know what you're saying. And yes, I mean, just in recent days, when half of the things out of his mouth regarding the coronavirus are either lies or just total ignorance, or he's doing harm. Yes, I am totally with you guys. Whatever we need to do, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I don't care. If the election was 4 weeks from now, I'd still seek to use the 25th Amendment and take him out. I don't care if it's 4 weeks or 4 days or 4 months or what, we're still 8 months away from the election, and we just can't take it anymore. And this is not just jumping on him. This is what I guess I bring this up because I'm really talking to all of us and to the press. You got to stop treating him as though he were an actual normal president. I saved this tweet from a guy named Ben Rhodes. I'm sorry, I don't know who he is. It doesn't matter. The idea is what I liked. It's a quote. It's still amazing to see how a rambling, semi-coherent, and contradictory presser from Trump gets repackaged into headlines, stories, and TV clips that turn him into a normal president. There's the quote from Ben Rhodes. You probably know who he is. At the moment, I don't. But that is exactly right. That's what the press is doing, and I don't know why they're doing it. They're helping him to look real. He's not real. He's a TV character. And his pride and his ignorance and his ego and his fatally flawed nature are costing lives quite literally. Guys, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. It is a sad state of affairs. In the early days of the virus, just completely and totally irresponsible. You're right. He's not real. He's a big joke. Well, of course, the late night guys make jokes about him, but I don't think that carries any kind of real punch. I think what we need to do, I think, occasionally, PBS does this occasionally, and I appreciate it. PBS NewsHour, the two kind of star Washington reporters are Lisa Desjardins and Yamiche Alcindor, okay? They will often start reports, and I've heard them do it on more than one occasion, on several occasions. They'll say, the president said X, Y, Z. And right on the heels, without dropping a beat, they'll say, but that is not true. Here's what is true. Okay, so they don't get excited. They don't say, oh my God, the president lied to us again. They very factually say, okay, here's what the president said. And then they don't bury the lead because the lead is, it's not true. And they don't wait 20 minutes. There's the problem with a lot of the coverage. The New York Times, for example, might cover the same story. And it'll be, 5 paragraphs in where they say, well, there is no evidence to show that what the president said was true. Now, we got to do a better job. Yeah, right. Uncle Chuck, I know exactly what you're referring to. I've seen both cases. And you're right. NPR occasionally will say, right at the top, that's not true. Here's what is true. I think what the press ought to do, like in times of war, when every night, every broadcast, every newscast would end with a list, right? They would roll the names of American military personnel who died on that day. It's a horrible thing. It's a sad thing, but that became kind of a standard practice of news programs. I think news programs should do that today. They should roll the list of lies, today's lies, by the current occupant. That's right. Okay. I think that's a pretty good idea. But you're right. We've got to just we got to end this. It has to be over. It does seem like kind of a Captain Bligh moment, doesn't it? Like we just got to take the keys from this guy. I suppose it's tempting to say, well, we're in a national emergency. Now's the last time to think about, impeachment again or something like that. So why even bother having the conversation? Right, but like you say, sure, if the bounty is sinking, maybe it is time to, mutiny. Yes, I can see where you might. Oh, Captain Bligh, you got a good point there. But you're right, though. That conversation is going to go nowhere at this point. I mean, it did. You saw the big protest down in Brazil where they're calling for Bolsonaro to resign. So, in the midst of the virus crisis and his mishandling, which is kind of parallel with the Orange Menace. Yeah, that's right. So, our little voices here, I think maybe it is time to mutiny, but you're right. We're not going to get any traction on that. Well, before we leave politics here, let's talk a little bit about the Democratic race here. We got Bernie and Joe still, and a lot of people are saying it's just over. Just cash it in. Now, here's what I see happening, and I have no problem with it at all. People have short memories. My memory of 2016 between Hillary and Bernie was that once it was clear that Hillary was going to be the nominee, Bernie said out loud to his supporters at every rally, Hillary will be the nominee, but we are staying in the race and will continue to gather delegates, and that's just the right thing to do. And then we'll go to the convention, and we'll use our delegates to push for planks in the platform and the general direction of the party. We're not going to give up our political capital. Right. No, I'm not going to be the nominee. And no, I'm not dropping out of the primaries. That's my recollection as well. You're right. People have faulty memories of what happened in 2016. We're kind of seeing a repeat of it in many ways. It looks like at this point, Bernie's not going to be. Now, having said that, I think we, all of us, and Bernie included, should not yet say, as he did in 2016, I will not be the nominee. It's too early for him to say that. Another couple of primary rounds, and then he can say that, possibly. But the way things are going, I don't think it's the day to say that yet. I agree. Chucky, do you agree with that? Yes, I do, and especially in light of the virus. Oh, goodness. Bernie and Elizabeth Warren seem to be the only national figures, the only two national figures in this country who are talking any sense at all. Now, of course, people seem to like the doctors, the Fauci guy and the other woman who are stepping up to the podium, and they seem to comport themselves well, and we like them. But don't let that kid you for a second, because the Orange Menace just wants to glom onto that, and he's kind of on their coattails. Whereas, like we said, he's just a pretend president. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. He should be out on his ear. But Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, they are doing what leaders do. They are speaking forcefully. They are proposing solutions. Right. Absolutely. And I would give Nancy Pelosi some credit, even though we're very quick to point out around here that none of us are Democrats, and we're not big fans of the party. But, you've only got so many people in charge at one time, and they've got to do what they do. Well, right. I think that's a very good point. I mean, like it or not, they hold the seats of power, and they're making big decisions as we speak. And Nancy Pelosi seems to do a pretty good job more often than not when it comes to a crisis. She's good in a crisis. So there are lots of slings and arrows we could throw. I don't think it does a lot of good to do that right now, except in the case of, as we've said now a couple of times, the Orange Menace. I'm with the people of Brazil. Call for resignation. But back to Bernie and Joe. Joe Biden is not displaying the same kind of leadership abilities that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are at this point. So good for them. And if the world made any sense at all, we'd all look at Bernie right now and say, well, obviously, this is the guy we need. Obviously, this guy has the right ideas, and he has for 40 years. And this ridiculous notion of unfettered capitalism and the private market always being the solution to things has been crazy all along, and it's especially crazy now. So, short of kicking Agent Orange out of office, almost as unlikely, but not as unlikely, that's Bernie winning the nomination. Right. Or anybody with half a sense can see the writing on the wall and see that that's darn near, as you say, use the term, that's a steep climb at this point. I don't know. Would you say it's impossible? No, I say I agree with Charles Purcell. I think this is another couple of rounds, another couple of state primaries to go, and it might well be out of hand, but I don't think it's time to call it yet. Yeah. So I guess looking ahead, if and when that time comes in the next few days or weeks, after a couple of more states vote, if they do, we don't even know if they're going to vote. Right. I mean, they could cancel more elections. There are good solutions for that. They should just require voting by mail or that sort of thing. But anyway, I guess that's another topic. But so the point is, if and when the time comes for him to say that, then he does. And then Joe is the presumptive nominee. Then for my money, you just start looking at the inevitable. Okay. If that's the way it's going to be, then now here's our approach. We got to just push Joe, because if he wins the nomination and if he's elected president, I think he will be basically kind of a Democratic version of Reagan and, well, the most recent Republican presidents. All of them have something in common. The current president, W., and Reagan. I'm not counting George the Elder here. George the Elder was actually a competent person. We didn't agree with his policies most of the time, but he was an intelligent, competent person. The rest of them were basically, like we said earlier, pretend presidents. They were just figureheads. And their handlers and the policymakers behind the scenes would just push them out in front of the camera. Reagan, W., and the current. They push them out there and they say, okay, do what you need to do. You go out in front of the cameras and play president here for 5-10 minutes, and we'll do all the work back here. Well, I think that's going to have to be the case with Joe. Is this making any sense to you guys? Oh, sure, I see that. Right. And now those Bernie supporters and right-thinking, I should say left-thinking progressives, then, as disappointed as they are, at that point, then they got to just say, okay, let's just buckle up and do this thing. And if Joe Biden is going to be that kind of a president, and I would tend to agree with you, he will be that kind of a president. He'll be just that guy you put out in front of the camera. Smile with your nice white teeth, right? And keep your bald spot away from the camera, and you make everybody feel good. But we'll do the real work back here. And I think then you got your Elizabeth Warrens, and you got your Andrew Yangs, and you got your Bernie Sanders, and you got your whole lineup of competent people who can do the work of legislating and of administering, the laws of the land and proposing the right proposals. Sure, right? There you go. That's a pretty good plan. And again, it's a way to mollify is the wrong word, but to somehow satisfy the more left-leaning people. And again, we don't want to get too caught up in the spectrum talk, because as we've pointed out many times on this program and elsewhere, Bernie Sanders, though he's losing in electoral votes, he's winning. He points this out, and it's just an absolute fact. He's winning on every single issue. Every poll comes out, the voters are with Bernie right on down the line on every issue in great majorities over both Joe and Agent Orange. So if the world made any sense, I think is the expression you used earlier, if the world made any sense at all, Bernie would be the runaway winner for the nomination and the runaway winner for the presidency, because he has the most popular ideas by a country mile. Yeah, we've seen it over and over and over again. So that's where we stand. And I guess it's time to probably wrap it up. Want to say to everyone, it's a weird time. We'll talk more next week about the virus and its implications. Not so much from the health perspective, because we're not the experts. You don't want to believe me. You don't want to listen to me when it comes to any of that. I have nothing to say. There are wonderful, intelligent, forceful voices that you need to hear other than mine. But we'll be back next week and in the following weeks with plenty to say about how this is impacting our lives and how we might come out the other end a little better. Well, I'll just leave it at that for today. I do have a program note for you. For the duration here, I'm going to be doing a daily show, the Daily Log. It won't be on the regular platforms because I don't have enough bandwidth for that. But it will be on the website, charlespurcell.com, and it will be on our flagship radio station. So if you go to riverwestradio.com or to SoundCloud, where they are listed as WXRW, you're going to hear the Daily Log. For the time being, as I said, for the duration, I'll be doing a daily log in addition to our weekly get-togethers. Okay, so check that out. That's Chucky Bucky over there by the mic stands. Yeah, you got me in like a storage closet over here. And that's Uncle Chuck over in the other corner. Yes, very comfortably sipping my tea over here. Yes. Okay, guys. All right, then. Thanks a lot for coming in. Stay safe. Okay, then. All right. All right. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. This episode of The Log is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, iHeart, YouTube, and the podcast source. Enter Charles Purcell Presents in the search window. Or best yet, go to charlespurcell.com. There you'll find this and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow, comment, and contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell.